Welcome, comic lovers. Old Comic Guy coming at you with another comic haul. This one is from Half Price Books. I had seen that another YouTuber had gotten some books from Half Price Books. We do have a couple in the Phoenix metropolitan area, so I thought, well, I'd give it a shot. Worst case, I'm going to buy some old books that I can take to Bookman's and trade. So I thought, all right, let's take a look. So I went out and ended up at the one in East Mesa. And so this is what I found. So let's get right into it. First, we have Namor. This is a 2004 series. It's actually the first one called Namor, just Namor. This is issue 12. It's the last issue in the series. This was done... the writers, Bill Jemas and Andy Watson, and the art is Joe Bennett and Paul Azacito. Covers Lee Weeks and Brad Anderson. That is not Susan Storm. It's not. Yeah, he's got a thing for blondes. He's got a type. Who knew? This is Sandra Pierce. This is set in his past when he's a very... adolescent, so not even a young adult yet. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. Odd thing, this is him as an adolescent, so that means that this is prior to World War II. And so that would be prior to the late 30s, 1930s, which is pretty crazy. And then I picked up the final issue of Amazon Attacks. This is 2007 series. It's writers Will Pfeiffer. Art and the cover is Pete Woods. Wonder Woman and Hippolyta. It's a limited series for the crossover event that hit much of the DC titles this year. So, pretty cool. I also picked up Aquaman number 40 from the 2018 series. Some of these covers were just really awesome. I like Aquaman. I collect Aquaman. So I didn't always get the variant cover or anything like that just because... I think sometimes they're overdone. I have called this before the age of covers. We've passed the Platinum Age and the Golden Age and the Silver Age and the Bronze Age. And genuinely, we passed the Copper Age. I'm sorry. It is now the Cover Age when you are continually putting out, when the big two are continually putting out massive amounts of covers of the same book. They've ran out of ideas, which is sad. This is, let's see, this is the variant by Josh Middleton. The writers Bob Williams and Daniel Aulonette. The art is, so the art is Joe Bennett. The inks is Vicente Cifuentes. And the editor is Katie Kubert. It's loved to see the family still involved. Katie is the niece of Adam and Andy. This is the end of the Sink Atlantis that crossed with the Suicide Squad, this particular issue. So Joe had 5 kids. I think I've shared that before. Katie's one of the other. Andy and Adam are the youngest two. One of the other children's, which is pretty cool. One that she's still involved. This is another Aquaman, issue 45, 2019. Writers Kelly Sue DeConnick, arts Robson Rocha, covers Robson Rocha and Daniel Henriquez. Arthur is living with the sea gods at this time of the world. It's the first full appearance of Nama, or Mother Salt, and her origin. And then she plays a role for a bit in the story arc. I don't know if she'll come back at some point, maybe. Another one, I'm not sure. Again, a lot of these I just picked up because I'm not sure which cover I got. And at a clearance price, it wasn't too bad. So this is a Josh Middleton cover, number 47, 2019. It's the end of the arc with the Unspoken Water, where he's living with the sea gods. Writers Kelly Sue DeConnick, arts Robson Rocha, and it's the first full appearance of the old gods of the sea, not as their disguise, but as the gods themselves. So basically they bring all of the water gods. So that would be everything from deities in Norse mythology, but also Native American mythologies and native peoples' mythologies, not necessarily Native Americans. So it's pretty cool. And then I picked up an adventure comics, number 526. This is part of the volume 2. This is the relaunch that happened in 2011-ish. This is issue 526. Writers Paul Levitz, arts Geraldo Borges and Jeff Moy. Inks Marlo Alakiza and Philip Moy. So Jeff and Philip are brothers, and they work together. And one usually ends up inking the other's pencils. The cover's Phil Jimenez, and it's a great Legion tie-in. It's kind of awesome that when they brought Adventure back, it starred pretty much Superboy and or the Legion. So that was kind of cool. That was where Adventure kind of ended. Picked up Legion of Superheroes Millennium. This kicked off the newest, well, this is 2019, so I'm going to say newest incarnation of the Legion of Superheroes. Brian Michael Bendis is the writer. Dustin Nguyen, Jim Lee, Andrea Sorrento, Andre Lima Aruhu, Scott Williams are all art. The cover's by Ron Sook, and it's trying to connect all the DC's future timelines together. DC owns a ton. So this would be trying to connect things like the Atomic Knights, that's set in the future. The Flash, right? The Tornado Twins with the Legion of Superheroes. And that was done early on, but they're trying to incorporate that. Space Rangers, all of those stories they're trying to combine them. And I've not read it because I think this is the only, I've only found issue 1. I've never found issue 2. So I haven't read it yet because I don't want to read it until I have the second one. And then I found some old Legion. So this is Who's Who of the Legion of Superheroes, number 5. This is, there was only 7 issues. This is back in 1988. Barbara Randall is the writer. Artists, lots of them. I'm not even going to list them all. Covers Greg LaRocque. Let's try that again. Cover is Greg LaRocque. Roque. And Larry Malstedt. And the editor is Mark Waid. I think it's pretty interesting that Mark is the editor of this interesting story. At San Diego Comic-Con, they used to do trivia events, and Mark pretty much ran it. He was always winning it because he knows most of the trivia. There was a Kirby one, and he didn't want to do that one. He was afraid his Kirby knowledge wasn't up to snuff, or that he would have misheard something and not do as well. So he didn't compete as one of the panelists. But interestingly enough, he sat in the audience. And I sat a few places in front of him, not because I knew he was there, I did not know. And they would ask a question, I would answer. Or this guy behind me would answer, and I didn't know who it was at the time. I didn't even really look behind me. I tend to be more focused on, okay, dang, he got it first, okay. And then there were times that I didn't answer because I wasn't positive, and then he'd answer, and I'd be like, dang it, I knew that one. And so back and forth. At one point, about the only two people answering was him and I. And afterwards, I looked back and it was him, and I was like, oh, no way. I just competed against Mark Waid. That's so cool. So yeah, I think sometimes I might have even said something under my breath. I tend to have a habit of talking out loud when I'm thinking, and which can be horrible because you say things and then you're like, oh no, I should never say that. But you've already just really said it. So there are times that I was probably saying the answers, and then he would be like, oh yeah, that's right, and then he'd say it. So it was kind of interesting. It was fun. Yeah. He's a pretty awesome guy, and his history is, like, I don't think he's Roy Thomas as far as the history goes, but it's pretty far along. He knows his history. I loved his work with the Wally West story arc, and even the stuff he did with Captain America before they Marvel horribly pulled him off the book, was amazing. So the Legion of Superheroes, this is volume 5 from 2004. Writer, Mark Waid. See, he leads in. Art's Barry Kitsoon, and the cover is Barry Kitsoon and Dave McCaig. The series goes 1 through 15, and then continues the numbering, but it becomes Supergirl and the Legion of Superheroes for 16 to 36, and then back to the Legion of Superheroes for the last 37 to 50, which makes it a bear putting it into, where you're going to place it. You don't want to take out the Supergirl part and put it in a different book, a different box, right? Like, you don't want to put it with Supergirl, or maybe you do. I don't know. I would not, but I might actually get a whole second set just to put over there, if they're cheap enough. Only if they're cheap enough. This is number 2. It's the first appearance of Lemnos, who kind of becomes a major player throughout the series. And then, since they had him, I might as well, right? So another Legion. This is Legion of Superheroes Volume 8, 2019 to 2021. This is the Brian Michael Bendis run. Art and covers by Ryan Sook. John Kent, Superboy, picks up right after Superman Volume number 1 here. This one picks up right after Superman Volume 5, number 16, where the Legion invite him to join, and the ending of Legion of Superheroes Millennium 2, which again I had not found, so I haven't read it, and that takes place during this issue. So this issue is right when the Legion of Superheroes number 2 ends, and this takes place right after the volume 5 Superman number 16, when he's invited to join the Legion of Superheroes. So pretty cool. Anyway, it only ran for a couple years, so there's 1. Here's issue 2. Clearly they're after the League's stuff. So Aquaman's Trident, which I think is just really cool. And then Robin's Batarang. Number 4. And these were discounted, so I just figured I'd pick them up. I haven't read them yet. 5. but I thought, if I could get the whole run, that'd be awesome. Seven, but I didn't. I wasn't able to. I did get a bunch of them, and I'll fill in the rest as needed. 8. Then number 9, I think this is cool. This is kind of remnant of the Legion of Superheroes 201 or 301, where they had the paneled of the Legion of Superheroes. So kind of their own take on it, maybe. I thought it was pretty cool. Number 11, which is pretty cool. I'm a Legion of Superheroes fan, and Keith Giffen, you can thank Keith Giffen for that. While I don't always like his artwork and like Paul Levitt's storytelling and stuff, there are times that I really think they've done a very good job. He also, Keith was the first guy breaking well, not really the first guy, but created a character to break the third wall long before Deadpool, or the fourth wall, long before Deadpool ever was a thought in anybody's eyes. And that's the ambush bug. And I think it's really, he did such a phenomenal job with that because it's a fun character. I think Marvel trying to, basically they took ambush bug and Terminator and mixed them to make Deadpool, which is why I'm not a huge Deadpool fan. I'm like, I have the originals. I do think that the movies have been fun and all that sort of stuff, if not a little bit gory. That's all right. Anything that gets people reading comics is good in my book. This is issue 12. It says the story is continued in Future State Legion Superheroes #1. But my understanding is the Future State stuff was in a divergent timeline. So now we're saying that this wasn't the real timeline? I'm not sure. Anyway, I thought it was pretty interesting. I've not read through everything. I just think that's kind of interesting that they would say that. These were, for the most part, in fine shape. They're not, nobody's missing pages, any of that sort of stuff. But it was pretty cool. And at a clearance price, it wasn't bad at all. Most of these were $1. I think there were a couple that were 50 cents. So pretty good buy. Again, I got them at half price books here in the Phoenix metropolitan area, over in East Mesa. But I thought it was a pretty good find. So if you haven't checked those out, it might be worth it. A lot of the pricing was on the other stuff was not unfair. But they don't bag and board their stuff. So if it came in bags and boards, it stayed in bags and boards. They're also not opposed to putting stickers on the comics themselves. I'm not okay with that. Not that doesn't happen sometimes, but I'm not a big fan of that. So, but again, it's not a comic shop, right? It's a used bookstore, and they're not really there to deal with that. That being said, if they have something, some of them have signed stuff, they have no idea how to price that and how to care for that. So I would definitely stay away from that sort of stuff unless it's a screaming buy. Most of the rest of it was reasonable. It wasn't any different than like a comic shop would have, so that was fair. The clearance stuff, though, I think that's the way to go. I'm a dollar bin guy. I try to always go for those cheap things. So, because you do find some awesome stuff. All right. You guys take care of yourselves. Remember, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, comment. Also, remember that the Father's Day video released recently. And if you're interested in that, please make sure you comment on that so you can be entered in the contest to win the print. All right, that's all I got for now. More will be coming. All right, you guys have a wonderful day. Take care of each other.